Hello, this is Ruben. Today I wanted to answer some questions that several community members post in the Telegram channel, which is also bridged into our Discord channel. And there were some really good questions, and I wanted to make sure that I got through what the team has been working behind the scenes. So I think that's about like 15 questions or so, and I'll answer them to the best that I can. So, of the first question that we got is a lot of people have been asking about the info on the rebranding and the DeFi integration. So, first of all, the rebranding, the website is done, the logo is done, the color scheme's done. Um, Actually, what we were planning to do is first of all launch the testnet, and then shortly after announce the rebrand with the new name, so that it gives time for the exchanges to take notes, and then only after that, once Lelantus binaries for mainnet launches, then we will probably push forward with the rebrand. So actually most of the work has been done. The videos, like our introductory videos, have been rebranded, that explains what the name is, and we're working out on posts. We're also working with our PR team on how to get this out as well. So that's coming relatively soon, but it is all dependent on the public testnet launch, because that takes precedence right now. As for the DeFi integration, the first one, which is StakeHound. So StakeHound is going smoothly. We've actually just started onboarding our first few users today on StakeHound, including myself and a few other people. And the purpose of this is not that it's not open to the public, but we just kind of wanted to make sure that the process and everything is smooth before we tell everyone to come on board. So the StakeHound integration should be sometime this month. I don't want to give an exact date, mainly because we want to see how smooth the onboarding process is. But we have maybe about like 100,000 Zcoin kind of pledged into this entire system. So it's looking really good. And once the community decides to participate, I am anticipating this number to be more. The other piece of news is that, as you know, we are part of the REN Alliance, and that was supposed to be our trustless bridge that would allow conversion from like REN Zcoin and as to on the Ethereum chain back into the native way without requiring KYC. Unfortunately, REN has informed us that they're running a bit behind their schedule, and it's more realistic to be at the beginning of Q1 for next year. This is totally out of our control. The integration has been all done on our end. It's more, I think the tech that they're doing is not so easy, and there have been some hiccups. Well, or I guess more of like, not really hiccups, more of like more work than they have anticipated. So that's still coming, but we are also exploring other options to allow trustless conversions of like the Ethereum version of Zcoin tokens back into native Zcoin, because as a private Zcoin, we do want to avoid KYC as much as possible. And the StakeHound integration does require KYC for the initial people providing the liquidity. So I hope that provides some clarity on that. So in a nutshell, rebranding should happen shortly after the public testnet launch. And then the DeFi integration should be happening sometime this month, at least for the StakeHound one. All right, so let's look at the next question. What role, if any, does Poramin play now? Poramin, right, has been actually quite involved in the business of stock, but he's still an important, he still tries to contribute back to the project when he can. I mean, he's very active in Thailand about promoting Zcoin there. But in terms of development, of course, he hasn't contributed the code in a bit. He's been more of assisting the project in any way he can. Like recently, as we were, when we were dealing with the bug, We had to lodge police reports, get lawyers, and to assist the exchanges to release those funds. And Poramin has been assisting on that. So he's still involved in the project, not really front and center, but he's still helping out in the background. He's also been helping us to try to find additional programmers or people that can support us. Right now, it's been quite challenging to find people with the right fit, but we are still looking, right? So I hope that answers that question. So, okay, the next question. What role do seed investors play now, if any? So, all the seed investors, as you know, their founders' reward actually ended sometime last month, and well, they don't really have a role per se, except that many of them, still hold actually all of them still hold very substantial holdings of Zcoin, and of course, where they can help. Especially like for example like providing initial liquidity for the stake count, we usually just approach them. They don't really have any direct say. They might give like the opinions just as any community member would be, but they don't really play any sort of key role. We're trying not to call on their assistance for additional funds or anything. They have been very generous. I mean, they've helped to fund the audit. They've helped to fund many other things, including when Zcoin was going through quite a tough time in our funding. I think it was like late last year, and they also assisted then. So we're trying not to, I think their obligations to us have been fulfilled. Now they are just like any other community member as well, but perhaps with larger holdings than the average Joe. So yeah, that answers that. So have they liquidated some or all of their holdings? Well, I'm not privy to exactly, they're not obligated to release to us all of this information. But from my conversations with them, of course, they have liquidated some. I mean, not like immediately, but throughout the years. But most of them actually hold still very significant holdings. I mean, you can even take a look, right? Like the Z note numbers have not dropped significantly at all, and often because they are still, like for example with the stakehouse integration, they will have pledged certain of their Z coins over. So I wouldn't know exactly how much they have liquidated, but I do believe that they still have very substantial holdings in Zcoin, and I know that one of them had moved them to a prominent masternode hosting service. So that's pretty good news as well. Okay, so next question is the block reward enough to fund the team? If not, how is the funding provided? And there's also a related question after that. If more coins are provided to fund the team from seed investors or other individuals, can you review how many and do they get sold in the free market? Okay, so I want to be pretty transparent on this. Right now, the funding is actually sufficient. Remember that we bumped up our funding from 6%, which will be equivalent to 12% with the halving, and bumped it up to 15%. That bump has actually helped us, even with the price decline. We're still operating with some headroom. We've been quite frugal. We have not been, in a way, COVID has kind of saved us a lot of money because there's no traveling involved, which is a significant expense. But we've been paying all our programmers, and there's been no issue in that side. I think the only time that has kind of affected us is that we are a bit more careful when we are onboarding new programmers to the team, because we want to make sure that we can continue to pay, regardless of market conditions. We still do have a reserve, so even if there's a shortfall, we should be able to tide it through. But we are, cutting off unnecessary expenditure. Like for example, one of the things that we'll talk about is the Hummingbot program as well. So I do think that our finances are still enough to continue. I wouldn't say that we're in a desperate situation, but I would say that it would be nice if we had a bigger budget to hire more people, especially the handle with the marketing, the social media and stuff like that. Because obviously, without that, it kind of falls on me. So yeah, uh, that answers. Oh, and another thing is that there's been some people like saying that, oh, the team dumps on the market, and that's not really true. A lot of our contractors or the people that we do engage do actually accept Zcoin directly. Some of them do actually keep the Zcoin; they don't necessarily convert. And usually the way that we how we actually liquidate our coins is pretty straightforward. We run Hummingbot, and Hummingbot maintains an inventory, 50% of Zcoin, 50% of Bitcoin or USDT. And whenever we do have some Zcoin from the founders reward, we just place that amount into the bot, and it will try to auto balance it back to 50-50. So what that means is that the selling of the Zcoin is very gradual. Of course, we still have our own Zcoin reserves, but primarily, like if there is any amounts that need to be converted to US dollars or Bitcoin, that's usually done just by placing it in the bots, and that just auto balances out. There's nothing to hide there. It's the Hummingbot is totally open source. There's no shenanigans there. But that's basically how we do it. Of course, at times there are people that do want to buy OTC Zcoin from us, and if they're willing to buy it from us at spot price, we'll be glad to sell it to them. So that's the primary ways that Zcoin converts its coins into US dollars to pay our programmers who do not take Zcoin as payment. But for me, a big portion of my pay is in Zcoin. I'm not selling any, so that's no selling pressure there. Okay, so has the Hummingbot partnership ended? If yes, why? So the Hummingbot partnership has not ended. We had paused it for a bit. Two reasons. One thing is that we kind of wanted to reassess the effectiveness of the Hummingbot campaign. And secondly, of course, because with the price, of the thing going down, we wanted to assess, well, is this something that we really need right now? The recently, just last month, we had native payments in Zcoin, which was a great step forward. We do intend to resume the Hummingbot partnership sometime soon. We're actually in talks with them to perhaps do so, but it's more of a timing thing, and we actually want to take a look at see, well, how much of an effect does Hummingbot actually have if we stop this payment right now. So I think that's basically, I don't think it's gone away forever. It may be actually restarted in 1 or 2 weeks time, but it's more of like, let's see how it does without Hummingbot. Do we actually need it, or do our own bots just running it is sufficient? So I think that's the main thing. And if people are asking, well, why are we running these bots? A lot of the times, like as liquidity, we do have the bootstrap liquidity in certain markets, especially like in the smaller exchanges, and that's what we've been doing. Of course, we are also using it to slowly release funds to convert Zcoin into US dollars or so without having any adverse market reactions. So that's kind of how we use Hummingbot. And those of you who do use Hummingbot, we basically use the pure market making strategy there. So there's no arbitrage or anything that we're doing there. Okay. What is the team expectation for rebranding Lelantus and Defi? I suspect for it to be withheld until everything is ready. Team is hoping for a price push. Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, of course, price is important, but I don't think we do things just for a price push. If any, those are, I would say, very short short-term goals. We really believe in the the long-term sustainability of the project, and obviously we do hope that all these things do have a positive impact. But we're not looking at it. Oh well, when we announce this news, there's going to be a big pump. I think this is more of like, are we making our project stronger for the long term? And rebranding is something that has been quite controversial because obviously we've been around for 4 years, and a lot of people have attached certain names, certain emotional feelings to Zcoin. I mean, I love the Zcoin name myself. But I think we've come to a period that even to this day, even after 4 years, even after so much development and stuff like that, people there's so many coins out there, and it is just so easy to dismiss a project just on first appearances. And we when people see Zcoin, they think of Zcash. And even to this day, I think just like a couple of days ago, someone say, "Oh, Zcoin is like a wannabe Zcash," which kind of sucks because we have no shared technology with Zcash as well. So I think that the rebrand is going to be very welcome. We have actually done polls within our community members, some of our trusted community members, some stakeholders, and it's been generally very positive. And we're really looking forward to reveal the new name not too long from now. Yeah. So what was the okay? So Lelantus is I would say is a most important development that Zcoin has done since its history. It is our own privacy protocol that we coded from scratch, created from scratch, down from the cryptography into the code. Um, and the testnet is, well, it's already live already, but we'll be waiting to iron out some bugs before releasing it to the public. As for DeFi, I think it's actually part of the next question, which is, what's in particular the goal with DeFi? Catching some of the hype around it, or the team truly sees DeFi as the future? So I would say that, I mean, yes, a lot of DeFi right now is a lot of hype, right? Governance tokens that somehow have huge amounts of values, and obviously a lot of the valuations may not be sustainable. But I do think that some really, really important and interesting tools are being built, like stuff like DEXs, like decentralized exchanges, is something that we have been wanting to use and have for a very long time. And Ethereum has the best and most like popular DEXs like Uniswap, Balancer, and all of this type of things. And we also see like the rise of lending platforms, decentralized lending platforms, where you can take your coin, use it as collateral, and do that all on a DeFi systems. Those have real use cases, right? Those really make a token much more useful. And I do think that DeFi is not going anywhere soon. I do think that it is the future, but obviously we have to separate what is real, what is Ponzi's, what is unsustainable growth. And obviously, there's a bit of a bubble, there's a bit of a hype, which kind of has, I think, more or less has been popped. But I do think that DeFi is here to stay. So our approach to it is that we don't want to build DeFi on our own platform, because that increases the attack surface, increases so many things that need to be thought about. But we are thinking about, okay, how can we integrate with other DeFi platforms, or like smart contract platforms that do support this, and that's their whole like reason of existing. And take advantage of their DEXs, they take advantage of the automated market makers of their lending platforms. So that's really our goal, to make Zcoin more usable. And if DeFi does help with that, then so be it. Especially when privacy coins have been more and more controversial. The need for more resilient ways to trade Zcoin is obviously very valuable for a privacy coin. Okay, so next question. Does Monero still have interest in Lelantus, or that chapter is closed now? So actually, Monero actually came up with their own version of Lelantus, which was modified to fit into their ring signature model, and it's called Triptych and Octurus, which both use one of many proofs and uses the innovation that Lelantus did to basically extend one of many proofs for that. So although they're not using Lelantus per se, it's actually using a protocol that is kind of inspired by Lelantus. That's my personal opinion about it, and I believe in that. So so, and I think that makes total sense because Monero has such has a model of like ring signatures. To move away from that into like this mint and redeem mechanism would be a too big of a departure. So I do think that's interesting that yes, Monero is using kind of like something that's similar to Lelantus, which would maybe increase their ring sizes to about 100 instead of from 11, while we at Zcoin are using the similar technology, but using the mint and burn mechanism and more of like a ZKP type of model where we think that it's superior. But I think only time will tell. But I do think that we're aiming for a much higher practical anonymity set than what Monero is aiming at. It does have some drawbacks in performance, but we think we have managed to get it to a very competitive level that will be able to scale sufficiently. So yeah. Okay, so another question, which one is just quite critical, says, obviously from observation, I can see the team is probably extremely busy with the upcoming events, but do you think going almost silent on social media platforms is the right thing? For example, what was revealed yesterday here with the video and the images with the red color of the wallet was not posted on social media. I don't think it's true that we have been totally silent on social media. I think we've been posting almost every day. The reason why I did not go out with like the images of the red color of the wallet and whatnot. It's just that it seemed really raw, especially when I was like cutting off bits and pieces that showed our new logo and stuff like that. And posting that on social media just seemed a bit unprofessional. And the video itself was just me, not going through it in a very professional manner. It was just me playing through it, and I just wanted to share the community what we were doing. Obviously, if you guys think that that's good enough, I'm actually trying to get someone to redo my video that goes through the wallet in a more professional manner, and then we can post it on social media. I think that's actually already happening right now. We've already engaged Grant, as some of you who may have watched his videos on YouTube. So yeah, we just want to get it in a more polished state before we place it on Twitter and stuff like that, rather than in the Telegram community, which I guess is a more informal medium. Okay. How does the team envision the growth of Zcoin in the future? Well, I do think that Zcoin's use case as a privacy coin, I do think that if we still value like a coin that acts as money, as an alternative financial system, and we believe that an alternative financial system built on cryptocurrencies is something that we want to happen, then I do think that Zcoin is very well positioned to take advantage of that. Of course, we have like some may say, well, Monero is also in a great position, and that's true as well. But we think that with our Lelantus technology, and with our chain locks and all this other stuff, we do have the foundations that is required to be one of the top cryptocurrencies in the world today. Right now, I think we'll probably suffer some from naming choice, and I think because we had like opt-in privacy, So we really need to really gear ourselves fully into privacy, make sure that it is easy to use, make sure that our technology is top notch. And then after that, then, all of this other good things that can happen to us will happen. And I think one of Sam from Alameda's tweet actually really inspired me, because I was feeling kind of down, and we were getting a lot of flack about what are we doing. And he was saying that, look, you just have to keep building, you just have to really believe in the importance of what you're doing, and realize that some things are out of your control. Yeah, I mean, like, when Bitcoin crashes, all altcoin crashes, we don't have control of the price. So the community members telling us to just pump up the price, we have no control over that. And I ask, and I kind of really, really want to express this, because a lot of people think like, okay, we get like a development reward from the block, and therefore we are responsible for everything. And I don't think that's personally, I don't think that's the right attitude, because first of all, the amount that we receive is not a lot, and it's done so intentionally. Why is that the case, right? Because I mean, there are two kind of big approaches of doing it. One is the kind of like VC type of or ICO type of model, where you create all the coins up front, you allocate like huge amounts for marketing, like 30% to marketing, 20% for exchanges, 10% to investors, 10% to the team. Now, that isn't really decentralization. That's basically someone creating a coin out of thin air and then deciding how to allocate those funds, right? And obviously, when you are controlling that, when you have an ecosystem fund that is 30% of the supply, of course, then you are obliged to give these tokens, to spend this money to develop those things, right? To develop the ecosystem, to pay for exchange listings, to do marketing. Zcoin has none of that. We basically just get 15% of the block reward, even with a cap of 100K, which is what we set. And that's just enough right now for development, right? And why do we do this? Because we don't want to allocate, because fair distribution means most of it should go to the community, to the people that mine it, to the people that run Znodes, that provide infrastructure to the system, to get a fair distribution of the coin. And that is, one of the sort of original tenets of cryptocurrencies, right? Rather than I just make a new like Starbucks dollars and have airdrops here and there and basically give money everywhere. And although that has worked, it is not really, to me, the vision of what a cryptocurrency should be. That's more of like a utility token. So if we want to be money, that is not a model that I think would work for us. So what that means is that this coin doesn't belong to the team. As you can see, even my title as project steward, I'm here to look after the project. And hopefully one day, as more and more developers come on board, there wouldn't be like just one central team. There'll be multiple teams working on it, and hopefully over the next few years we can build that. And we are actually seeing some like interesting like developments, like for example, guys from Monero who took a look at what Lelantus could do, right? And they came from the Monero community, and there's one guy called Cargo Dog that actually say like, oh look, I have a potential optimization to Lelantus that you may be interested in. And this is like totally, that's the kind of involvement that we want, right? Like people not expecting to like, be a contractor, like this is cool tech. I want to contribute to this because I think it's great. And hopefully this will accelerate once Lelantus kicks off and people see like, wow, this is a really great privacy protocol, which it is. So yeah. Do you think it's possible the current team in terms of number of people? I do actually think that that is possible, at least for the next 1 or 2 years. um I do think that we could probably need more help, like with people evangelizing it, like telling people about our thing, because it can't be just us. It's more organic if the community talks about Lelantus, talks about Zcoin, and educates people, because we can't do it all alone. I mean, the only other way to do it is basically fund troll armies, which isn't really organic or honest. And we hope that community members realize that this coin is just as much yours as it's ours. As it's not our coin, it's everybody's coin. So we do have to take collective responsibility on it, and we're starting to see that in the groups, with community members stepping in, answering questions, sharing our stuff. And that's that's a great start, but we have a long way to go. And I'm really encouraged by the show of solidarity, but we still need more. So I hope everyone understands our role there. Okay. If not, I assume in order to get more people, price needs to drastically increase, or some sort of funding comes from somewhere. Is that possible? Mm, well, we do have the ZCS, which is the Zcoin crowdfunding system, which we use to fund the development of the audits for Lelantus. So I do think that's possible, and I do think that once our technology kind of more settles in, because we like Lelantus came out and chain locks and all this other stuff, that we kind of have to lay out the foundation and kind of stabilize it first. And then outside people can come in. But that also means that once we have stabilized the platform, once all the key components are in, there doesn't need to be a huge number of people maintaining it. It just needs to be making sure our privacy protocols are up to date, improvements are being made, kind of like what Monero is right now, right? Like there isn't any huge, massive change that has, launching a totally new privacy protocol, things like that. It's more going to be more organic. We're still, of course, require, I think, we want to be such that people are proud to contribute to us, because they want to see their work being used in an important privacy coin. And hopefully we're starting to see that. Like Monero Research Labs have contributed to us, so that's very promising as well. Yep. So there was a couple of more questions. So Zcoin was used for blockchain elections. Is the team trying again? There was some interest in the system that was developed by the Thai Democrat Party, but right now I think the political situation in Thailand isn't really conducive for it right now, and we do think that it's a bit of a distraction if we were to go ahead and implement it in other countries. It's a really cool, nice to have, but I wouldn't think that it should be our absolute focus. I think it was more of like a showcase of our technology, rather than this is the way you should use our blockchain. I mean, sure, that you can use it, but we do want to not get distracted from being money that is private. How dates need marketing funds? I don't quite understand it. I think maybe it might have been a question as to why we haven't been quite reluctant to announce dates. So code development isn't like something that just happens, right? When you develop something, you think it's done, you test it, and then there's bugs that come up, and then you're going to fix it, right? And we want to get testnet to a point where we're saying like, okay, this is more or less final. There may be some bugs there, but we are not foreseeing any sort of significant modifications or so. So we're trying to optimize that code as fast as possible. I think Lefon and just push a very big push that may mean that we can launch public testnet in the next couple of days. But I am a bit hesitant of saying an exact date because if a problem comes out, if there's some bug in the code again, we have to fix it before we release it. But we are really soon. We're not talking about months. I would think, fingers crossed, I think we're at the most looking at weeks or maybe even days. But as such, development is not an exact science. But we really, Lelantus is actually working on our testnet. You can see it happening right now. But we don't have like an exact date. We're not purposely withholding the date. It is more of everything, because the rebrand ties into the Lelantus, and then the Lelantus mainnet ties into the testnet, and all this other stuff like chain locks and all this other stuff need to happen after Lelantus. So this is why everything is kind of like waiting for that public testnet launch before we can start coming out with dates. And I hope you understand that, rather than, oh yeah, you guys are purposely withholding dates. We aren't. I think we've been very transparent on that, and you can take a look at our GitHub activity, which clearly shows that if you can read code. Okay, so team up with Monero community for marketing or improvement. Well, this is a good one. We do have good ties with many Monero community members. It is not official. There's no official like Monero team, right? There is a core team, but it's they don't have a marketing team. It's more about organic community members, and that's exactly what it is, right? Zcoin has to be promoted by its community members, and if influential Monero members come board and like what we're doing, which we are starting to see, then they will of course also promote Zcoin as well. But again, we are working in unofficial ways. I mean, like, Diego from Monero, I mean, he's not from Monero, but he's a very important part of the Monero team that also receives funding from the general fund. He's been helping us with our rebranding, some of our social media stuff and things like that. And Sarang from the research labs has been giving us a lot of good tips, and yeah, I would say that we have a very good relationship with them, but there's not going to be like an official team up, because that's kind of not how it works. So I think it's more about winning hearts and minds, and that means continuously telling people about what Zcoin's goals are, what our technology does, and how good it is. We as developers, or the people like managing the core team, can only do the best that we can, that we get our developments out. We try to get publications, and I guess I'm the face of Zcoin for the moment. So I hope that's clear. I think I've answered everyone's questions, and I'll probably do this from time to time, and I hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much.